you thinking about quitting your job? Do you know someone who is? If so, you are not alone. A Pew Research survey last year found that roughly 1 in 5 workers was somewhat or very likely to look for a new job in just the next 6 months. That's a lot of unhappy people. But 73% of American workers this year said that their job or career is at least somewhat important to their overall identity, to who we are. So our work matters, and we matter more. I have 2 brilliant sisters, and the youngest one, my sister Abby, called to ask my advice. Kate, she said, how do you know when it's time to quit your job? My heart sank. Abby is an award-winning oncology nurse who takes great pride in providing compassionate care to her patients, the sickest of the sick. Her apartment fridge is covered with thank you notes from these patients, and sometimes from their surviving family members. No doubt about it, her work was hard, but she was great at it, and for nearly a decade, she had loved this important work. But it was the fall of 2020, and she was no longer sure she could continue in her profession. My mind raced, and I thought about all the patients she had touched and all the patients she had yet to touch, all the thank you notes yet to be written. How do you calculate the loss when someone walks away? It reminded me of the butterfly effect. Have you heard of it? Well, it's a part of chaos theory, but poetically, it's this idea that when a butterfly flaps its wings, it can cause a hurricane on the other side of the world. Small changes can have a big impact. I had faced moments like this in my career too, and I spent a long time spinning my wheels, pursuing a strategy that got me nowhere. I'll never forget the first time my husband sat me down for one of our kitchen table talks. And it started, as the talk always did, with, Katie, I'm telling you this because I love you. Uh-oh. And I want to support your work because I know how much it means to you. But I'm worried. You're keeping crazy hours and you seem so stressed. You always say next week will be better, but next week is never better. And I just miss you. Oh, he was right. But the bigger thing that I realized, I missed me too. Something about my work wasn't working. And so I created the first of many, what I like to call my better balance plans. Maybe you've made one of these. You know, where you decide you're finally going to achieve that elusive work-life balance. For me, it was all about strict rules. Rules for when I would leave work, rules for when I would check email, rules for what conversation topics were allowable on the weekends, and oh yes, I was the life of the party. Thank you very much. And as long as everyone and everything and every email followed my better balance plan, everything was going to be fine. Simple. But no matter what I tried, it never solved the problem. Because my heart was whispering, work-life balance is a lie. A lie. Whether we like it or not, our work is a part of our life. It's not some wholly separate thing. And there's no perfect ratio of work to life. Looking for this point of balance reminds me of food scientists because they have a bliss point that they work hard to find. They tinker, and they are looking for the exact right amount of salt, fat, sweet, crunch that's going to make the food irresistible. But here's the thing. Your life is not a potato chip. There's no perfect point of balance that's going to provide ultimate bliss. So if balance isn't a helpful goal, what would be a better way to think about our work and our lives? I want to say an important word, a word we're going to come back to and unpack in just a minute. Alignment. Because I think we move beyond our own kitchen table talks by finding alignment in our work and lives. And I think we can learn important lessons in finding alignment from even a 3-year-old. I've spent most of my professional career in Montessori education, and I could go on and on about what that means to me. But for today, I want to share with you just 2 aspects of Montessori education that I think can inform how we think about our work. Because in Montessori environments, the term work has some unique connotations. So first, let me tell you about Max. Max's dad came to my friend Heather with a problem. It was great that Max seemed to be enjoying his Montessori school, but he was having trouble adjusting to days that were less routine. Specifically, weekends. Specifically, weekend mornings. In fact, Max cried most weekend mornings, and not even after anything had even happened. He just seemed to wake up and burst into tears. Max's dad was perplexed. He loved weekends. Maybe you can relate. In fact, Max's dad would joyfully announce weekends by cheering, "No work today." "Oh," said my friend Heather, "that's it." "What's it?" "The no work part," she said. Because here in our Montessori classrooms, all of the interesting and engaging activities are called work, not play. So to Max, an announcement of no work today might as well have been a proclamation of no fun today. First thing in the morning. I might cry too. Oh, Max's dad saw the problem, and Max didn't cry on weekends after that. You see, Max didn't see work as a drudgery or a necessary evil. No, to Max, work was interesting, challenging, and in the challenge, even fun. My sister had felt that way about her work before the pandemic, too. So Max can teach us the first lesson from Montessori classrooms, a blurring of work and play. And there's a second lesson that's important, too. When most of us talk about work, we're talking about whatever it is we do to earn money, our paid employment. I like to think of that stuff as our paycheck work. But Montessori environments take a really broad view of work, with the idea that each being in our interconnected universe has a unique role to fulfill. We call it a cosmic task. The Montessori scholar Camillo Grazzini explained this with a metaphor, saying that we might think of the world as a great household, a cosmic household, where all the jobs involved in running the household have been divided up and shared. This cosmic task, I like to think of as our purpose work, what I am here to do and be right now. And maybe there's great overlap between your paycheck work and your purpose work. There is for me. But getting clear on these 2 types of work has made all the difference in how I prioritize my time and my life. It's helped me to find alignment. And one of the goals of Montessori education is to help students live into their own cosmic task, their own purpose work. Basketball phenom Steph Curry, founders of Google and Amazon, actor Helen Hunt, diarist Anne Frank, chef Julia Child, all of these are former Montessori students who went on to make an impact on the world. But I'm no Steph Curry. So what does it mean for us to live into our cosmic task, to blur the lines between work and play? I think it's about bringing our lives into alignment. So let's unpack what I mean by that word. According to Oxford Languages, things can be said to be in alignment when they are in the correct or appropriate relative position. So to visualize this, I like to think of our lives as an ever-expanding piece of magical mosaic art made up of all the pieces of our lives. And alignment means we get to choose where each piece is located, according to who we are and what we need right now. So maybe we decide it is a piece worthy of a front and center position. Or maybe it's going to be a more peripheral piece for the moment. We might have hundreds of mosaic pieces with room for our paycheck work, our service, our activism, our relationships, our hobbies, our faith. And the whole mosaic can be organized in service to our purpose work, our cosmic task. So when we have that feeling of general unease, a feeling that something isn't working, it means we need a change in our life mosaic. Something is out of alignment. And before you run out and quit your job, I think there are 2 questions to ask that can help us to realign, to come home to ourselves, and to be at home in our one precious life. So the first question to ask when we're feeling out of alignment is, which pieces of our life mosaic need attention? Now be careful, this one is trickier than it seems. When my sister called me with her important question, she was sure the problem was her work. And indeed, pandemic work at the hospital had been more difficult. But work wasn't the only thing that had shifted for her. Her gym had closed. Her days off had been lonely. She even had to say goodbye to her best furry friend. So if Abby was going to find alignment in her life, she had some non-work pieces that needed adjusting too. Which brings us to the second question. Once we find the pieces that we feel like need our attention, we ask ourselves, to bring this piece back into a healthy alignment, do I need an internal shift, an external shift, or maybe both? An internal shift is a change I can make within myself. So I might change my attitude, my thought patterns, or my self-talk. I might learn a new skill, implement a new habit, or set a new boundary. I don't need anyone else to make my internal shifts, and they can be incredibly powerful. I have complete control. Most of personal development falls under this category. But internal shifts, as powerful as they are, can't solve everything. There is no amount of positive self-talk that's going to solve the problems of a short-staffed emergency room. So we may need an external shift as well, and these run quite the gamut. So maybe you do need to quit your job, move to a new location, or end an important relationship. Only you can know that for sure. But maybe a more subtle shift would make all the difference. And the beautiful thing about that is when we can tweak an environment to better support our own thriving, very often we can support the thriving of others as well. When we advocate to make a workplace safer or more inclusive, it is safer or more inclusive for everyone. When her work wasn't working, my sister did make changes to her career, but I'm so happy to say she did not walk away from the profession that she loved. She revamped what the work pieces of her life look like, exploring different roles in oncology care. And she addressed the non-work pieces as well, with increased focus on her relationships and her own healthy habits. Today, Abby lights up when she talks about her work. She has reconnected to herself and to an important part of her cosmic task, providing compassionate care to those touched by cancer. But her life mosaic is not yours. Each one of us has our own unique life mosaic. So her solutions aren't going to be the same as ours. You're the only one who can find the right alignment for your one and only, your tiny and precious life. And the world needs you and your unique brand of magic. You have things only you can do, things only you can bring to the world. Remember that butterfly effect? You are the butterfly, and you can cause a hurricane. Your cosmic task is calling. Let's begin.